Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I want to talk about Cooper Flagg. I know my buddy Michael Eisenberg, Mikey V, is probably going to be watching this because he's going to see the title and he's going to know that he's going to bombard me with texts saying that he's astonished that I made this video. And it's because of something I had said a while ago. Well, in conversation with him, I had said it previously, but when I had seen Cooper Flagg for the first time back in like 2023, and I had said it in my scouting report that my biggest fear was his offensive creation, and maybe this was rude. I said it was like, oh, was he going to be better than two-time All-Star offensively than Luol Deng? And Mikey V doesn't let that down, and I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. And that's part of the reason why we're making this video is I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. I want to talk about Cooper Flagg. And I want to talk about what the outlook looks for him and what it looks like for this squad. And also just to put on record that my original, I guess you would say, synopsis or opinion, insight was incorrect, and you live and you learn and you adjust. And there's things that I didn't give him credit. I think he's a lot bouncier, and my biggest fear was that he was going to be too demonstrative to play the wing in the NBA, and I thought he was going to be a pure four, and I was wrong. So let's just break it down exactly where the Dallas Mavericks stands and what needs to happen. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd like to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. And go check out my employer, hoopshype.com. This isn't a suggestion box. I think this should be an organizational mandate. And it obviously starts and ends with the kid, Cooper Flagg. The Dallas Mavericks pivoted. Right now, they're 5-15. Start the season. And the fallout from the Luka Dončić trade scream one thing. The old way is over. Nico Harrison's gone. Enforcing a win-now approach with veterans just slammed into a brick wall. Drafting Cooper Flagg first overall didn't just add a player. It blew up the timeline and started a clock on, I think, a 3 to 5 year window retool, if that makes sense. Like, they're in a period where they could contend. And that window could be a 5-year contention or a 3-year contention window, but this is a transitional gap. So the Mavericks' focus shifts from chasing maybe the playoffs and a championship this year to building a dynasty around this young man named Cooper Flagg. So here's my thesis, plain and simple. The Dallas Mavericks must commit to building fully around Cooper Flagg's development. I think this means we stop pretending this current roster can compete. The Mavericks' low possession, mistake-prone offense that ranks at the bottom of the league proves that. Every move that the Dallas Mavericks make from this day on must answer one question. And I think that's been the main question they've been answering since they drafted him. But I think especially with what looks like Anthony Davis on the way out, the main one for the foreseeable future is, does this help Cooper Flagg become a superstar in the immediate future? And let me be clear about Cooper Flagg. My pre-draft report pegged him as, and like everybody else, that he was going to be a generational defender, but I sold his offense short. We've already seen it. The kid has more offensive craft, more secondary creation in his game than I gave him credit for. And the early numbers are proving that, especially once we stopped messing around and saw him put in his natural position at the forward spot. So what are my core directives if I were running the Dallas Mavericks? And what would be some of the imperatives that I would put in our strategy? First, the roster alignment. I think they need to stop chasing short-term wins I think the Mavericks need to pour every resource into developmental minutes for the young core and position themselves to secure a high value lottery pick in the draft or in free agency. That should be the target. Second, it's the Anthony Davis decision. They traded for Anthony Davis. Immediately, he's 33, carrying a $54.1 million, or I think he'll be 33, carrying a $54.1 million salary. I think that's the biggest thing people need to understand is, yes, Anthony Davis is still productive when he plays. He's 32, but he'll be 33 in March. And he's already battling lower body issues, and it's cost him 14 games. If you look at the numbers, it shows the Mavericks defense is actually gets worse when he's on the floor. He is the single biggest asset that they currently have that wouldn't impact their core or their timeline that they should move. And you obviously Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington have all their own value, but they fit more with the timeline. So moving him for draft capital and young cost-controlled talent is the right move, regardless of what you think. Third, Kyrie Irving. Personally, I think they hold on to Kyrie for now. He's recovering from that torn ACL, and he's not expected to be back until either after this season or maybe this year. I personally think his trade value is in the gutter, but he's on a reasonable, guaranteed 3-year deal. The Mavericks just let him rehab. They let him hopefully rebuild his value either by either by playing him and people seeing that he's healthy, or in the offseason when he could become a major trade chip. Or I think, best case scenario, he's this veteran secondary creator who returns to his form and is great for Cooper. Now let's talk about Cooper Flagg's rookie season and what we've seen change. Obviously, the offense has been weird for him. Through 18 games, he's averaging about 16 points, 6.5 boards, 3.5 assists, and I don't think that tells the whole story. The first 10 games, the Mavericks, I think, made this mistake where everyone was like, oh, Jason Kidd did this with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They can do it with Cooper Flagg. Let's run him at the point guard. And the Mavericks tried to force the 18-year-old forward to run point. Dude, he sucked. He was shooting, like 40% from the field. The three-point shot, regardless of the position, has been not really dependable. It was just a failed experiment at the point guard position. Well, look at the split when head coach Jason Kidd finally corrected course, made the adjustment, and moved him to the wing playing the forward, because he is a combo forward. He was averaging 13.5 points on 38.8% from the field, 6.5 rebounds, and 3 assists a night as a point guard. Then, now at his natural position, 17.5 points per game, shooting 47.5% from the field, 8 rebounds, almost 3.5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Like, the numbers don't lie. At forward, his scoring jumps, the efficiency surge, his defensive impact doubles. He becomes the lead two-way playmaker the Mavericks drafted him to be. And the positional correction was, I think, a huge part of it, maybe everything. And the shot profile tells us more. The kid is an artist in the mid-range. He's already top 10 in the league in mid-range accuracy. That's elite footwork and confidence for a rookie, an 18-year-old, not even 19. But he's got some areas that he needs to grow. Obviously, the three-point ball is inconsistent. He lacks the core strength right now to finish consistently through contact at the rim. And defenses are sagging off him, daring him to shoot or create off the bounce. His strengths are what we knew. Defensive instincts, length, and a motor that does not quit, baby. He hustles. He impacts the game on both ends. But to go from high-end piece to a franchise cornerstone that is a perennial all-star, he must become a consistent volume three-point shooter, add weight, really just develop some serious core, leg, muscle strength to finish at the rim and through contact, and then tighten his handle to eventually grow into the point forward role organically. The early season management of Cooper Flagg under Jason Kidd was a lesson in hard knocks. Forcing him to play point guard was a strategic failure that cost the Dallas Mavericks games and stunted the kid's early rhythm. It was a miscalculation that drew criticisms from all corners. Thankfully, that course was corrected. Inserting veterans like D'Angelo Russell to handle the rock, and as well as our boy Ryan Nembhard and some Brandon Williams, letting Cooper Flagg operate from the wing and forward position unlocked his game immediately. The Mavericks saw the result in that 35-point explosion against the Clippers. Albeit the Clippers are the oldest team in NBA history. They're so old. He did it against a YMCA team. Still, he was aggressive, confident, and playing to his strengths, and he did it against, a team that he should be beating up. So the lesson is crystal clear. Cooper Flagg's development depends on having a stable primary ball handler beside him, create for him, and allow, someone to take off the initiation pressure so he can be this guy who can play off ball or play off of, being set up. And then the point forward skills can develop naturally through reads and experience and just natural occurring, situations. While what he was going through at first was forced duty. Jason Kidd's defensive team first philosophy aligns with Cooper Flagg's natural playing profile, but we obviously know he cannot repeat the mistake of playing him out of position. So real quickly, let's talk about asset management. Every decision is measured against Flagg's 3 to 5 year window of building a championship now. I've always said you want to get these guys in a championship setting when they're on their rookie deal, regardless that it is the first overall pick, so it is an expensive rookie deal, but it's like Russell Wilson on the Legion of Boom in American football when they were able to win a championship and go to 2 championship games. Obviously, they lost one by throwing it on the goal line instead of handing it off to Marshawn Lynch, but they did that because they were able to pay everybody else in interim period where they didn't have to pay Russell Wilson. And then when Wilson got paid, obviously everything started to fall apart, and that's kind of how they should look at it. Anthony Davis is the Mavericks' biggest chip. He's a guy who's still a perennial all-star. He's going to be 33. He's expensive, and he's always hurt. The fact that currently their defensive rating is better when he's off the floor is a massive red flag. I think the Mavericks need to clear his salary, get out from under the hard cap, and open up the front court. They have a bunch of other guys, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. The goal is package him for whatever first round picks you can get and young players or cost controlled contracts. And reports say moving him is a real possibility. Maybe it's going to be Chicago. We need to see that through. And then Kyrie, it's a different calculus. The torn ACL, his value at rock bottom, him being a veteran and his contract is manageable. I think the smart play is patience. Mavericks hold him, let him recover, let his value rebound. He becomes a godfather offer asset down the line. The organization also has signaled no interest in a fire sale, and I think that's the right call for now. So what is that final roster championship blueprint? How do the Dallas Mavericks build around Cooper Flagg? The identity of the new Dallas Mavericks is defense and length. Cooper Flagg has what, 7 foot plus wingspan. They need to surround him with specific archetypes. They need a primary ball handler, initiator. We know the Cooper point guard experiment failed. We've seen how good he's been with Ryan Nembhard and Brandon Williams. They need a true, no offense to Ryan Nembhard, he's 2 inches smaller than me. They need a true pass first point guard who can run the offense and create easy looks, letting Flagg pick his spots and play off ball. They need a bunch of floor spacers. Flagg, 3-point shot's still a work in progress, and I don't think he's ever going to be an elite. I think he's going to be like a Franz Wagner type 3-point shooter. They need to stock the roster with a bunch of dead-eye shooters to open up those driving lanes. And then the defense, they want that versatility, long switchable defenders at every position to complement Flagg, Lively, Gafford, Christie. So I think the core is really Derek Lively and Cooper Flagg. We saw, what in theory what could be Cooper, Daniel Gafford, and the two, obviously they didn't play at Duke, but obviously the two Duke Blue Devils have a future here. Lively's a vertical spacer who flashes a three-point shot and a rim protector that allows Flagg to roam and create havoc. Obviously, his health is a major concern, but they need a contingency plan behind him, which is Daniel Gafford. And beyond that, I think they have the key pieces. Max Christie is an untouchable asset, a young, versatile 3-and-D guy who's a swingman who can play the 2 or the 3. And then PJ Washington, another combo 4. He is a little older, but he's under 30. He's the perfect archetype, stretch 4, combo forward who spaces the floor and defends multiple positions. So I think the long-term outlook is bright if they execute correctly. Flagg ceiling as a top 15 player, maybe top 10 in this league, a two-way force. Some people are going to say like a Kawhi Leonard level player. Maybe right now I think Franz Wagner is what the floor is, him being a player like Franz Wagner, and I think that's great. He's 18, he's competitive, he's already showing us the blueprint. The path to contention is clear. Convert Anthony Davis into a haul of assets or contracts, whatever it may be. Nail those draft picks, especially in a great draft that's coming up this year. Keep Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, keep the team healthy. And if they do this right, Dallas Mavericks realistically could be a championship dynasty by 2028, 2029, if we wanted to be hyperbolic. And that's when Cooper Flagg hits his age 23 season, enters his prime. So I think this should be the mandate. Sorry, the post-Luka era is begun, and that's the Flagg era, and they need to build it the right way to capitalize on it. So let me know your thoughts if you guys agree. Bye.